In the age of the overload, learning how to regulate your nervous system may become one of the most important skills for conscious living. Have you noticed how difficult it has become to truly relax? Not just physically, but mentally. Even when people stop working, the mind continues. Notifications, informations, pressure, noise, constant stimulation. And many people today live in a strange state, exhausted but unable to rest, distracted but mentally overloaded, constantly stimulated but internally disconnected. So maybe the question is not what's wrong with people. Maybe the real question is what happens to the human nervous system in an environment of permanent stimulation and uncertainty. Well, this is Cesar, your host, and welcome to another episode of The Older Brother. Today, we're going to talk about that, why you can't relax anymore, and what's the role of the nervous system in the age of the overload. If you have been in this channel before, you know that probably we'll use some tools from modern science, but also from ancient wisdom to analyze this topic. Also, I will talk about this from my personal perspective and my meditation practice. So, in this episode, we will have some interconnected layers. We're going to talk from neuroscience because we'll be focused on stress, prediction, nervous system regulation, but also from psychology. We're going to talk about attention, uncertainty, and cognitive overload. The ancient wisdom is going to bring some tools for us like breath, stillness, attention, and embodiment. And you and me, with our life experience, we know exactly what modern humans actually feel daily. So the first point here, it's the chronic uncertainty and predictive stress. What it means, what we're going to talk about here, is the nervous system reacts not only to danger, but also to uncertainty. So modern humans, we live inside an economy of uncertainty. We don't know what's going on sometimes with this war, especially from the economic and political point of view. Also, we are exposed to social comparison all the time on social media, also in real life. And some of us even had some identity instability. We also had some informational overload. We are in an age of too much information just coming to us all the time in different ways. And even with that information, we can predict the future. So it generates some uncertainty on us. And also the constant change. The world is changing all the time. The environment is changing all the time. Our lives are changing all the time. So it's important to bring one concept here, and is that modern neuroscience increasingly understands the brain as a prediction system. So our world at the moment is unpredictable, and our brain wants to predict. What the brain wants to predict? Well, we're going to predict about safety, about outcomes, about threats, about social dynamics, about the future stability. And as our brain is fighting for predict, and our environment is complex, and we don't have that prediction around, so our brain start to increase some activity in our nervous system as well. So our vigilance increases. Also, our anxiety and our stress systems just activated, and the recovery becomes difficult in the middle of that environment, because the nervous system does not only react to danger, it also reacts to uncertainty. So all the time in real life, we are in the middle of endless news cycles, as we mentioned before, unstable economies, social media comparison, uncertainty about the future, constant notifications, overstimulations, and identity pressure. And we can say modern humans may not be tired only because they work too much. Probably they may be exhausted because the nervous system rarely experiences deep predictability and safety. And that's a very important point in modern life. Sometimes we need to give our nervous system some tools to make it feel safety and balance that sensation of unpredictable situations around us. But before going with the solutions and with some topics that can help us to bring some balance into our lives, I would like to highlight and come back to one of the topics we have been talking here, and is about the economy. Because at the present moment, we are living in an attention economy, in an environment of cognitive fragmentation. So modern systems compete very aggressively for human attention. Everything becomes related with our attention, because our attention has become monetized, fragmented, manipulated, and continuously interrupted. So what happened there? What is happening with us in the middle of that economy of attention? We start to be exposed to or generate constant low level divided focus. So our focus is not the same as before. Our attention is just partial. Sometimes when we are doing something, our attention is not fully on that thing. It's not 100%. It's like we are not present anymore, as we are a little bit divided in between many points of focus. And our context is rapidly shifting because sometimes we are just going from one task to another. So we all the time are just switching the context. And also we have some cognitive overload, like all the time it's just processing and doing excessive mental processing because our jobs demand us, because our current society demand us. And we have continuous stimulation, and it brings lack of mental recovery periods. So we are just all the time stimulated, and we don't have chance to recover our mind. Give time to our brain to process and recover. And it makes me remember sometimes, when you see chicken farms or you see some indoor plantations, when the plants are exposed to light 24/7, or the chickens are exposed to light all the time without the option to rest. So that's pretty much the economy and the environment where humans are living right now. We consume more information than ever, but we integrate less meaning every time. If not, look at that. Who is scrolling while eating? I think many people, I just go even to restaurants and people is eating and scrolling, multitasking constantly. We are not just focused on one task, we are doing 10 things at the same time. We have, or we are exposed to short form content loops, like, like some social media has some content that is just short, and we are sweeping all the time from one content to another, to one to another. We just have exposure to one topic during 3 seconds and just swipe it straight away, and it generates that we are just in content loops. And we also have the inability to stay in silence. We can't enjoy silence anymore. And yeah, all the time we have just compulsive checking behavior, like checking our phones, checking our bank accounts, checking our stocks, but all the time checking. So our attention become fragmented. And when it happens, also, we may be reducing our ability to do deep thinking. We are reducing our emotional regulation. We are reducing our introspection, the presence, the possibility to be present in this time, in this space, and reducing our sense of calmness. Another thing, a part of the attention economy, we probably are exposed to loss of embodiment. And it's because we, human, like modern humans, we are increasingly live like cognitively rather than somatically. So it means we are disconnected from our body awareness. disconnected even from our breath, disconnected from internal signals of our body, and we are trapped in mental abstraction. And it is a concept from neuroscience that the name is interoception. Maybe you have listened to that term before, but basically is the awareness of internal bodily sensations such as breath, the heartbeat, tension, temperature, and internal movement. And this point is important because as we are losing the sense of embodiment, the interoception, that awareness of internal body sensations, become very important to balance the situation that we as a humans are living. So, guys, I'm super fan and promoter of meditation, and probably if you have visited this channel, I'm always like, fan and promoter of meditation, and also every kind of breath work, because meditation and breath work may increase the interoception. It increases the bodily awareness, the emotional regulation, and also the nervous system awareness. That's another topic that it's been quite new for me during these days, and is the nervous system, the importance of our nervous system, and how can you bring awareness back to your nervous system. Been practicing some meditation, and I feel that my nervous system now again. For some time, I just lose the perception of my nervous system, and I'm coming back with it, and it's a game changer. It's just unbelievable how you can connect again with your electricity, with your energy, with your sense of calm, with your balance. You can reduce stress. You can feel aware, present here, right now. So the nervous system, it's something that we need to take care of, for sure, 100%. And yeah, probably also many people are constantly in their thoughts, but rarely inside their bodies. And it's very important, and it's such a good feeling when you are conscious of your thoughts, like you are aware of your thoughts, but also your body. And sometimes the body speaks first, then you think. Sometimes you think and program something, and your body reacts. And it's very nice thing when you start to see how your mind, your thoughts, and your body start to be connected. And the nervous system, it's something that can help you to reconnect again, especially your nerve, the vagus nerve. It's very important in this case. And another thing I want to talk about from the attention economy, then the loss of embodiment. Now we are in an environment of social and evolutionary mismatch. And it's because our society is presenting an environment to us, and our state of evolution and our nervous system has evolved probably for different things. So our nervous system as a humans evolved for being part of a tribe. It evolved to flow with the rhythm of the environment and internal rhythms as well. We evolved to move, to be exposed to the sunlight. We evolved to have different, direct human contact. We evolved to be in silence and also to have some cyclical recovery. But in our modern environment, we often live in a different thing, like now we are exposed to sedentary behaviors. Like even me in the past, I was very sedentary and all the time exposed to artificial light. Like I was working many hours in an office and it's just seated inside, 4 walls with artificial light. We also are often exposed to isolation in the real human interactions, but in some way hyper connected through networks and digital tools and things. And we also have some sleep disruption. There is many people suffering a sleep disruption, people that can sleep well, can recover well. And we have like lots of abstract digital interaction. Like I know we are here in this digital interaction, but probably we're gonna start to use this interaction to get the better that we can on this way. So bringing awareness instead of probably just entertainment or just losing our time. And pretty much we are exposed to chronic stimulation. And the inside of this part could be like the nervous system evolved for temporary stress, not for permanent activation. So the nervous system is a beautiful system that helps us to save our lives, to protect ourselves. But we can bring that dysregulation to our system and just being active, stimulated without bringing some opportunities to calm and recovery to our system. And here, that's as important reflection is that we humans are, or maybe physiologically overloaded because the environment exceeds the regulatory capacity of our nervous system. And here we're going to start to talk about this beautiful topic, the nervous system and safety. And our nervous system is continuously asking, am I safe? Not intellectually, but biologically. That's the thing that our nervous system is all the time checking, double checking, and triple checking. I am safe. When the system detects like some threats or uncertainty, our vigilance increase, and then some stress physiology start to activate, and we have some recovery decreases and emotional reactivity increases. So many people today live in a low-grade chronic defensive psychology. So we don't live in panic, we don't live in collapse, but in a continuous, subtle activation. And this may explain why people feel exhausted but cannot fully relax. I've talked with some people with that feeling of like, even sometimes they just go home, they don't have energy to do anything, they just feel exhausted and they just want to rest and be ready for the next day. But when they wake up next day, they don't feel like full of energy neither, because they can't relax anymore. And at this point, it could be very useful to start to look backwards and see if ancient wisdom brings some framework for us in the present to help us to liberate ourselves from those feelings, from that overload situation that we are living in the current moment. And probably ancient traditions may have understood deep principles of human regulation. And when we practice meditation, when we practice yoga, when we read about this, when we listen to the people that knows about those things better, they bring some concepts to us that can be very helpful. And talking about meditation, I found a term that the name is Pratyahara, and is the withdrawal of attention from excessive external sensory stimulation toward inner awareness. So, Pratyahara may represent attentional recovery, sensory decompression, and interruption of compulsive stimulation. And ancient tradition may have understood that consciousness requires periods of reduced input in order to regain clarity again. So it's important to highlight, talking about Pratyahara, that we can withdraw for some time our sense and bring our attention inside our bodies. We can practice meditation and feel that sensation of just don't be in that overstimulation. We can just close our ears, close our eyes, and go deep inside and bring back the attentional recovery. So we recover our attention and we decompress our sense for a while. And if you practice meditation, some techniques are designed especially to withdraw our attention. And that's exactly what we need sometimes during these modern times. Another concept and practice that is one of my favorites is pranayama, or the breath regulation. So pranayama is a conscious regulation of your breath to influence energy, mind, and internal state. So pranayama is a technique when you control your breath, and when you inhale, you match your breathing, that oxygen that is coming, you engage that with your prana, that is your life force. And then you can direct and control your breath, but also your life force. And pranayama, that breath regulation, it's been recognized by modern science that breathing influences the heart rate, the vagal regulation, that is the activation of our vagus nerve, and also it influences the autonomic nervous system activity. So when our nervous system activity is too inclined to the activation of the stress mode, when we breathe consciously, we bring back the balance because we activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And also, the breath work can influence our emotional state. We can bring back constructive emotions and reject or reduce the negative emotions. And here we have an important insight, and is that ancient traditions understood experientially that breath change consciousness. And also, modern science increasingly explains some of the physiological mechanisms behind the breathing exercise. So if you practice meditation, or if you don't practice meditation, but probably you practice breath work, you are especially working in your physiological mechanisms to help your body to get balance, attention back, concentration, recovery, all those benefits that we need right now in this time. Another concept I want to talk about is Dharana, or the training attention. And Dharana can be understood as sustained concentration or holding attention steadily on one object. And when we train our attention, we can improve our focus, our emotional regulation, our cognitive stability, and reduce reactivity. So when we practice meditation and some techniques like Kriya Pranayama, you engage your breath with your attention, and then you direct your attention to different parts of your body, to your mind, and you start to train your attention to claim back your attention. And suddenly you see that you are not just getting relaxation in the practice, but you are training consciousness and attention. And when you train your attention, you can direct your attention to different parts of your body, but also to different thoughts that maybe you want to solve. And I hear from many people, and I really like this phrase, and is, where attention goes, the energy flows. So it's important for us to train our attention, to direct our energy, and recover our focus, to regulate our emotions, to get back some cognitive stability, and to reduce reactivity. Then we generate a gap in between actions and reactions, and we have better decisions on that way. And general speaking, there is another term that the name is Dhyana, and is like meditative absorption, and is a deep meditative state characterized by sustained awareness and reduced mental fluctuation. When you are in that state of meditative moment, you start to feel that you are aware of your mind, your thoughts, your body. But at some point, you feel that you are not thinking, or you just reduce the brain activity, and that energy or that focus that was before in problems, in thoughts, now comes to just experience consciousness. When the body reduce the mental activity, then you start to feel a different state of consciousness, like more vital energy, but in a relaxed way. So probably in that way you can like experience some altered attentional states. You of course reduce your mind wandering, and you feel some changes in the default mode network activity, and you increase the present moment awareness. Another topic here that is an important term, an important practice, is stillness and silence. And stillness is not simply a spiritual statics or passive inactivity. Stillness may be biological recovery. And stillness brings some possible benefits, like reduce the sensory load, the nervous system recovery, the attentional restoration, it reduce the cognitive fatigue, and improve emotional regulation. So ancient contemplative system intentionally created silence, slowness, ritual, solitude, rhythm, because they understood the human system requires recovery. And that's pretty much one of the main messages here in this video. Humans, we modern humans, we need recovery. And meditation, breath work, and all the different ancient contemplative systems are helping us with that. And kind of a summary of this episode and main conclusions can be like, we have some recovery principles for conscious living. And me, Cesar, in this space, in this time, is promoting these recovery principles for conscious living. We need to activate our breath regulation. How can we do that? Practicing pranayama, but also practicing any kind of breath work, because then we're gonna regulate our autonomic nervous system. We need to bring balance to our nervous system. We can activate for long our sympathetic nervous system without bringing the parasympathetic to the game. We need to integrate balance there. We need integration and regulation of our autonomic nervous system. Another principle is reduce stimulation. And we reduce stimulation probably practicing Pratyahara, because it's a way to reduce our sensory activity and bring recovery to our sense. We need to recovery from all the things we hear, listen to, all the things we are watching all the time. And we need to be in deep states of meditation. We need to bring Dharana back, because it's the way we train our attention back. We need to claim our attention. We can't live in this modern time with fragmented attention. The other principle, we need embodiment. We need to bring back body awareness. Is what modern science calls interoception. We need to be aware of the body temperature, of the heart rate, of if we are tired or not, the tension that we have in our shoulders, in our back. We need to bring all that body awareness. And another principle for conscious living is rhythm. And ancient wisdom always had some rituals and cycles. It seems like they live in more connection with the cycles of the planet, of the universe. And modern science brings some terms that we can understand as circadian regulation. So we need to flow, to live consciously with rhythm, understand the cycles of the nature and our body, and how we can connect back. Like in the seasons, the different seasons, we know we need to connect with our environment, and we need to check again, like be in charge of that rhythm, and try to match our circadian cycles. We need also silence. Sometimes we need moments of solitude and stillness to bring cognitive recovery, because we are overstimulated all the time. We need to claim back the presence. We need to be in the present moment sometimes and be aware of that. We need to practice some awareness, because we need to reduce our rumination. Sometimes we are just overthinking, overwhelmed, but we need to bring back our presence. And another and the last principle is community. We need Sangha, because we need to regulate our social nervous system as well. We evolve to be part of the tribe, and we need direct human interactions, and we need to feel safe when we do that. So we need to bring awareness to us, but also to the social, to the area, to the community. And maybe modern humans are not failing because they are weak. We are not weak. Maybe the modern environment chronically dysregulates the nervous system. And perhaps ancient contemplative traditions understood something essential. that human beings require: rhythm, silence, breath, embodiment, focus attention, stillness, and recovery in order to remain physiologically integrated. And conscious living today may not mean escaping from modern life. It may mean learning how to regulate ourselves within it. In the edge of the overload, learning how to regulate your nervous system may become one of the most important skills for conscious living. And this is Cesar, your host, and this is the older brother. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'm sending you the best energy, my best wishes, so you can put in practice those principles for conscious living in the modern life, and you can regulate yourself. You can regulate your nervous system. You can regulate yourself. Thank you.